not everyone can financially take a gap
Mhm.
year, right? And I was going to ask you, what do you recommend to people who aren't able to just stop the job or go on leave or whatever? And it's so true. I mean, we have all of this extra time that we are not in the office, not at the job working, but generally that time gets filled with distractions, right? And again,
Mhm.
it's just what we've learned. It's what we've always done. We've got the television, we've got the TikTok, we've got the YouTube. You look at the screen time on your phone, admittedly myself as well, sometimes more than others, but it's high, right? We're spending hours on things that we'll never remember. But what if you go ahead and schedule ahead some hours for something that you will remember, so you can create your own Instagram reel of all these cool people that you've met and all these memories you've experienced? I think it requires forward thinking in order to
Sure.
really make that happen. So I want to talk about the practical now. I want to talk about,
Mhm.
for the person listening, like myself. So this is me we're talking to right now, but also everyone listening who doesn't yet have a written down bucket list. Can you take us through how you initially created your bucket list? Because I might be wrong, but I'm going to gather you didn't have yours written down at first either, did
No,
you?
sir. No, sir, I did
Okay.
not. I had
Can you
lots of
bring us
ideas in
through
my
that?
head. Yeah, I think, the first thing I really did was, set an intention from the bucket list. What's the purpose of doing this? Why do I have this? Why do I want to, go after these things? And there's lots of ways to do that. In the book, I talk about, 8 or 9 different benefits to having a bucket list and then attaching your meaning for it to one of those benefits. And for me, like I said, it was being communal. So not everything on my list I'm doing with other people or trying to build community, but for the most part, a lot of them are. I got knuckle tattoos was on my bucket list, so that's that's a thing I'm not sure everyone else would have on it,
What do
but
they say? What's
it
the tattoo?
it says "Do no harm."
Oh, that looks so cool.
Thanks.
I thought it was going to say bucket list.
No, no, it doesn't fit. But no, I've had that idea in my head for a long time, and I just decided, okay, now it's time to do it. I'm kind of free. I don't have to worry about what people think of my job, and so I did it. And I think that that's the biggest thing is that you have to set an intention. Why am I even doing this? It's kind of like a mission statement for your bucket list. Setting the intention and saying, okay, I'm going to do this because why? You got to have a reason why, because it'll provide the motivation that you need to actually even sit down and start writing it. And that's the next thing. The second thing is write it down. I know a lot of people have, lists in their head. I had one. I wanted to walk the Camino pretty badly for about 11 years. It was stuck inside my head, and then I said, okay, I'm going to put it on a list and I'm going to write it down and I'm going to accomplish this, and because that way you can actually see it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, "Well, after until I heard you and talking to you, I had it in like 4 or 5 different places." But then I got all those different locations together and wrote down all the lists. And she said she really sat down and said, okay, are these things I really want to do? If you don't have a space for it and you're trying to keep it in your head, it's going to compete with all those other things through the day. So, there's a section of my book about, bucket list creation and how do you do that? I've got lots of prompts in there to say, okay, think about these things and think about that things. What have you always wanted to do? Where have you always wanted to go? What have you always wanted to buy? It can be anything. And I think that's also the biggest part of when you create your list, it's your list. And, a lot of times on Instagram and those places, we see these, bucket list trips where people are going and riding in air balloons in Turkey and, going and climbing Machu Picchu in Peru and doing, we're walking the Camino. They tend to be these big things that, big adventurous trips. And I don't necessarily think that that's what your bucket list should consist of, right? I mean, it could be I want to eat ice cream in the park, downtown that I've never been to. It could be I want to reconnect with that college friend that I haven't talked to in 15 years. It's just things that you want to do and bring you joy. And so just because everybody else is saying, "Oh, I'm crossing these on my bucket list. I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to the Great Barrier Reef or whatever it is," doesn't mean anything, right? Because just to do that, then you're just keeping up with the Joneses. And
Mm,
I don't want people to just use a bucket list to keep up with the Joneses. I want people to bring themselves joy. And
yes.
so to do that, your list has to be your list. And the last thing in the is just to start thinking about where you're gonna, like you said, where you're gonna start. And so the last chapter in the book is all about where do you start and how do you pick that thing. And there's like 15 different ways that you can pick to start your bucket list. And you can do cheap things, you can do expensive things. For me, I had to do a big thing, you know but for somebody else it may be just doing small little things on their list to get some momentum to actually make it to those bigger things. Everybody's different, and it was a part of the struggle of writing the book. Is like, it's like there's no prescribed way to do this. It's just here's some ideas, but you have to make this your own experience. You have to make it your own list, and that's what's super important, is deciding what is going to bring you joy, and not worrying about what other people think of that.